Have you ever wondered what are some of the things that is totally necessary for your dog to know or to be able to do? And is the saying you can't teach an old dog new tricks actually worth its weight? Well, that is exactly what we are exploring on today's episode. So, our French Bulldog Piper is almost 6 years old. And honestly, looking back on everything since the day we got her, all the surgeries, the learning curves, the things we figured out the hard way, a list of things that I would do differently if I could rewind to that very first day we got her. And this conversation was actually sparked by our neighbors that got a new puppy. And it's really not because, we did anything I feel wrong. We didn't, but there were definitely things that we didn't know, things nobody told us, and I think about them every now and then when I hear about someone that just got a new dog. So today, that is what we are going to dig into on today's episode. So it is everything that I would set up from day one if I was starting over with Piper. So we're going to look at the routines, the health habits, the things that seem small but compound over years. So this is the stuff that I wish someone had sat me down and told me before we picked her up. Hi there and welcome to Tales and Tones. I'm your host Mariska, also known as Piper's mom. Now, this podcast actually exists to help modern dog parents simplify everyday care and elevate life with our dogs without sacrificing style, sustainability, or our peace of mind. Before we dive in, I've got some exciting news. We have officially launched Piper's Founders Pack. It is our VIP waitlist for the very first Tails and Tones products, our elevated food bowl, which we are in the naming process at the moment. So it is the first 150 people who join that actually gets to help shape this product alongside us, give us feedback, weigh in on the design, and be part of building something that genuinely solves real problems for our dogs. The link is in the show notes and also in our Instagram bio. And if you comment VIP, we will send you that direct link so you do not miss out. Okay, let's rewind. Day one with Piper. Here's what I'll do. So the first thing I would do, and it's something that cost honestly nothing, it is to build a rhythm. A daily rhythm that my dog can count on. Now, this sounds obvious, but when we first got Piper, and to be honest, still some days we don't have 100% the routine, but we try our best, we are winging it. Feeding times were kind of whenever walks happened, when we remembered, or whenever Piper kind of got sassy and we're like, hey, people, take me for my walk. Bedtime was whenever she finally settled, and I kept on wondering why she seemed very anxious in the beginning. Why, she's had good days and then all of a sudden difficult ones for no apparent reason. And the answer was me and the lack of consistent structure. So dogs don't experience time the same way we do. They don't know it is Tuesday. What they know is what happened next. So when that happens, next is unpredictable. So it creates a very low-level hum of anxiety that really affects everything. So behavior, digestion, sleep, training, and Mena Lopes actually said it very well in one of our previous episodes, episode 32, when we talked about reactivity. So consistency is what builds trust. And that is actually true for training, but it is also true for everything else. So routine is how your dogs learn that this world is safe. So we are going to talk or walk through basically the structure that I would build. And then we are going to talk about some of the health habits, the things you layer on top of that routine. And because that is kind of really where I wish I would started, or where I wish I'd started. The morning routine. Now, obviously, you do you. You need to get a routine that works with your schedule, with your dog, but a morning routine basically sets us up for the whole day. It is really key. So the first thing, before you do coffee, before you check the phone, before anything else, you need to make sure your dog is cared for. So whether that is like the bathroom trip outside, kind of keep to the same routine, calm energy. This is not a time for like really enrichment. This is just a body business back inside kind of thing. And keeping it calm and consistent actually helps enormously with potty training as well, because your dog really starts to understand that this is a trip that has a purpose. After that, like 5 minutes of being actually present together before the day starts, not a big play session, just kind of acknowledge each other, a sit, scratch behind the ears, basically saying, hey, I see you. We are starting the day together. It sounds small, but it isn't really small. Or, in our case, like Piper usually has a little bit more of a snooze in. So I get up around 5 a.m. and start my day. She only starts her day at like 7 a.m. And I've tried different things with her to wake her up at 5 a.m. and that just like really upset our entire day. So I leave her to sleep. So my first 2 hours is productive and then we start with Piper Day. So that is kind of, a decision that you can make, but whatever you do, try to make it so it's consistent. Now the feeding setup. When we first got Piper, I just put her bowl on the floor. Obviously, dog bowls, that's where it goes, right? It wasn't until we actually had our physio session where we realized that, how they eat is really important. And when she asked, how is she eating? And I kind of looked at her blankly and like, well, you know what? She kind of eats like any normal dog from the floor. But here's what I didn't understand then. Piper is a French bulldog. She's brachycephalic. Her anatomy is already working harder than most dogs just to kind of breathe, swallow, and to manage food going down. And every single meal, she was bending all the way down to the floor, straining her neck, eating at an angle that wasn't comfortable for her body. So, and she was doing that twice a day. That is, and I only know this now because of the research that we did, roughly 16,000 meals over the average dog's lifespan. So 16,000 meals, that is repetition of a posture that wasn't working for her. And Amanda Smith, actually one of our previous guests on episode 33, said something that really stayed with me, and that is the easier it is for a dog's neck and their natural posture, the better. And she specifically called out the brachycephalic dogs, so our French bulldogs, pugs, bulldogs in general, saying that bringing the bowl closer to their face is really kinder on their body as well. Now, elevated bowls aren't for every single dog, and if you have any concerns about it, please do double check with your vet. But for a lot of dogs, and especially brachycephalic breeds, getting the bowl to the right height makes a real difference to their meal times. Now, this is literally why we are building our elevated food and water system. Not because we wanted a pretty bowl, although it is going to be very pretty, but because this was a real problem we couldn't find the right solution for. And Piper absolutely is not the only one struggling with this. Consistent feeding times really matters. So whether you do 2 or 3 meals a day, how many ever hours it's apart. So if we do 2 meals, it's around 12 hours apart. And it's the same time each time for Piper. So your dog's digestion, energy, and expectations all regulate around this. Now, Piper knows when breakfast is coming and when dinner is coming. Like, honestly, she's got a built-in clock and she knows. And that predictability is really part of like her sense of safety. She also knows when it is snack times in between breakfast and dinner. So these little habits really help them to kind of structure their day. Okay, then it is into the section that I wish someone had given me before we got Piper. Because there's a difference between reacting to health problems and building the habits that prevent them or at least catch them early. And I was firmly in the reacting camp for a very long time. Now, let me start with teeth. Teeth brushing is honestly such a big one. And I cannot stress this enough. Like, start from puppy. Make it like a game, something fun, like have fun stuff that is kind of on the toothbrush, and just have it as a fun experience with super big treat rewards. Like, honestly, if they love that, steak, like that's the best thing that they've ever had, give them a steak to brush teeth, because if you don't, you end up where we are. So Piper is extremely sensitive around her mouth because, she was a cleft puppy. She's gone through all of those surgeries and traumas. It is really something she does not like. And could we have done a lot more to get her used to it in the beginning? Hell yeah. Did we? No. That is parent fail on our side fully. So now we have to work around that. And if your dog won't tolerate a toothbrush, there is other options. So there's like a finger toothbrush that you get, like a rubber thing that's on your finger. And we sometimes manage that with Piper, but it's like she almost locks her jaw. It is really, really hard. And I get in there for like literally a few seconds at a time, and get other toothbrushes that's like made for dogs specifically. You also get like these little bite tools that you like almost put in their bite that holds their mouth open so you can really get a good brush. If you are able to manage that, by all means try it if your dog tolerates it, but those doesn't always work for like brachycephalic dogs or dogs that's got like shorter mouth, because they've got so many misformed teeth that it is really an issue. And, if your dog has any dental or like palate issues, like with Piper's case, do check with your vet first. What would be the best way to actually get them to, do like a more routine clean of the teeth, like what you can do at home. So if brushing just isn't happening for you and your dog, and for some dogs that is genuinely the case, there are alternatives. You get like these enzyme gels that you can put on their teeth. There's loads of paste, or you can lightly brush over their gums that break down the buildup. You also get some drops that you can put in their water that do a lot of the work, like kind of passively. Is it as good as brushing teeth? Probably not, but it is better than doing nothing. And again, with those drops, like some of them would actually say that you need to put it in a ceramic and not a stainless steel. So do keep that in mind. You also get these foam gels that you literally just pump in their mouth, and that also does the work for them. We've tried it all. And then you get some chews. You can also get these like balls that has like little brush kind of things on that you can put little toothpaste on. That helps as well. You can do the daily cleaning drops. That's what we do. We do the enzyme paste every other day, and then the cleaning drops every single day. It's not perfect, but at least it's something. And then, you also get like toppers that you can put on your food. So if your dog tolerates that, try it out. If it works, amazing. It's at least better than doing nothing. Now, please, 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 never skip a dental clean. So most vets would recommend to get their first dental clean at around 18 months and then kind of annually after that. So talk to your vet about that, what is right for your dog. Also, if your dog ever has to go for any, surgical things, whether it is like, the desexing or neutering or anything, always check. Can they just give a good clean of the teeth if it is possible? Because, if your dog really struggles with that, that might be a good place to do like as a little add-on while you're doing that. But yeah, so that is definitely key. Do not skip out on this because, dental health affects so much more than just the teeth. There's like a lot of bacteria that builds up in there, and it can impact their overall health in ways we don't always see coming. So it is really, really key. Now, on top of the teeth, there is also some other key issues like ear cleaning, nail trimming, and grooming that needs to kind of be part of your weekly or fortnightly routine from day one. So make these normal. And if the first time your puppy experiences ear cleaning is really when they have an ear infection, that might already be so uncomfortable for them that just makes that battle so much harder. And if it's just like, okay, it's Tuesday and that is ear day, they kind of learn to accept it and go with it. So the same goes for other grooming. So if there's like little folds that needs to be cleaned. So Piper's morning routine also includes like fold cleaning because French bulldogs have, it can become really smelly. It can really cause health issues. So we've built it in the morning routine. But other grooming things like brushing, bathing, or just like handling their paws and like faces, normalize these early and make it a positive experience that really stays. So Piper is still not 100% loving nail trimmings. Like we cannot get her nails trimmed. She's had a few really bad incidents at like one at the vet and one at home where her nails got clipped. There was just blood everywhere. So not the best experience for her. So now we use the Dremel. And every night, she kind of gets her toenails dremeled. So we normally just do like 2 paws every night and take off the slightest amount. So it's not like we're sitting there for hours doing the nails every night. So it's a little bit each night. And then she is allowed her late night snacks, which is the last little bit of her food for the day. And we've been doing it quite some times. And sometimes she's like sitting there dead still. Other days she's just like, okay, give me my food now. And she moves a little bit around. It becomes a little bit more challenging, but we do get to do that. So definitely start, maybe with 1 toenail every other night or something, just to kind of build in this routine that it's also under 5-minute type of thing. It's not something that takes hours. Now, this one might sound boring until the day your dog is sick and you're standing there with a tablet in one hand and a very suspicious dog in front of you who has somehow already eaten all the cheese off a tablet and spat out the tablet on the floor. At some point, your dog will need some medication. So whether that is antihistamines, if you give them this flea and tick tablets, deworming, antibiotics, any pain medicine, there's a whole variety of different things that your dog might need over their lifespan. So it will happen. And if your dog has never been taught to take medicine, it is like a normal part of their life, you are in for some stressful times, and it is stressful for them as well. So we have been in that time many times. So Piper refuses tablets. She has always refused it. We have tried pill poppers, like, oh my goodness, I hate those stuff. And, we kind of worked on this like little repertoire that we do. So what we usually give is cheese. Like if your dog likes a peanut butter, cheese, yogurt, I don't know if you can pop it in whatever pill pocket you can create, like meat, meatballs, blueberries. There's a wide variety. Whatever your dog loves, like try to give it like that. Now, And don't do it just when they need to get these medicines. We do it sometimes like on a random, like once a week, I would give her this treat, but no tablet. So it's really, she's like so excited. And most important, she's like trusting that this is just the treat. Now, Piper took literally years before she actually started eating peanut butter. So we have never put tablets in peanut butter, but I know a lot of people use that. So my technique that I do is cheese. She loves cheese, but obviously we don't want to give too much cheese. So what I would do is I would really take cheese, I would grate it like on the finest setting. Then I would literally just take like a small patch, put it on my palm of my hand and just kind of flatten it, put the tablet on there, and then put a little bit more cheese and roll it in like a really small bowl. And the warmth of your hand with the fine setting of the cheese actually works really well together. And I first give her a decoy. So she first has a little, just like a small roll of cheese, which she gets. And then the second one would be, the tablet. And most of the time she's fine, but I would also make it very exciting, like, yum, 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 and try and give her like, two or three, like back to back kind of thing. Does this always work? No. She is very smart and she will sometimes eat everything except the tablet, but it is the best system that we found. So it's really handy to find out what system would work for you when you need it. And also think about liquid medicine and like syringes. Now, some medications come in a powder form. If you're able to use it as like a topper, amazing. We are not. Piper does not like toppers. So we kind of have to put it in a syringe, and if it's a powder, mix with water. So what I would suggest is to kind of do this from the start, whether it is giving your dog something that's nice, not just water in a syringe, like whether it is bone broth or like a milky, like yogurty thing, something that's really tasty, that when they see that syringe, they are like, hell yeah, we are getting rewarded today. And if you start all of this from like a puppyhood, the cheese, the treats, the syringe, you'll honestly thank yourself later when hopefully you won't need it as much. But I mean, with Piper, we've had our fair share of medication that has to be given. So it is a great help. Now, the next one is like something that catches people off guard the most. And that is you buy something that is genuinely going to help your dog, like shoes, a ramp, maybe a stroller, maybe like a different harness. And then you pull it out and your dog does not like it. They completely, it's like, hell no. And the thing is, it is so much easier to introduce like these equipments when there's no urgency. Like when it's fun, when your dog is like hopefully still young, curious about everything. So yeah, there's definitely ways how you can do it. So let's start with the shoes. And I know some people are like, oh, so against the shoes. Dogs should not wear shoes. But it really depends on where you are. If you live in a very hot climate, like we are in Dubai, temperatures can be really, really hot. Now, genuinely, we will not walk Piper when it is hot or too hot outside, but paving can be hot, and sometimes even at 6 o'clock in the morning, it might already be so hot that, you don't necessarily want to walk on it. So I normally take my hand, if I can hold my hand down for a couple of seconds and I feel, okay, it's not too hot, then it's okay for Piper. But if it is, then it will be definitely too hot for her. And the same with colder climates. If you live in a place that is really snowy, frostbite can be an issue, along with some other issues with your dog as well. So in those cases, if you know that is kind of your setup, get them to wear shoes as early as possible. Like we are still struggling with Piper with that. And the issue is that the first time your dog tries on, shoes, if it's in the hot summer and that's actually when they need it, your dog's probably going to stage this protest and be like, hell no. So the earlier you can start and just like, have them on for a couple of times, like a couple of minutes in the house, take it off, make it fun. These positive associations can really build. And the more it kind of, just becomes like, okay, we're just going for a walk and it's okay. Same goes for like harnesses, leashes, get them comfortable from the start. So every dog should be okay with their harness going on and off them. And if your dog doesn't like the head going through things, then maybe like a step in would be good for them. So see what works. I mean, go to the pet shop and try out stuff. You don't have to always buy everything to try out first. Go and try a wide variety, and obviously you can see from your dog's body language what they like, what they don't like. And ramps and stairs are a big one, especially if you've got breeds that are prone to like spinal issues, like Frenchies definitely fits that category. So anything that IVDD linked to it, we definitely want those dogs not to jump on and off a sofa or in and out of a car. We definitely want to, form habits from early on. So if it is something for like the car, maybe have like a ramp, especially if you've got a bigger dog, If you are used to getting your dog in and out, we need to look at, are we going to take our dog in the car to the vet and things like that so that we are set up for that. Because the day you actually need them to use it, maybe after a surgery, maybe when they're older, a little bit stiffer, it might not be the best day to actually teach them how to use it. So we want to try and get those things in as habits before. So again, same goes for strollers, baskets, carriers. Like Piper uses her stroller regularly, especially in the summer on like longer outings where she's will just like overheat if she walked all the way. But it took us some time to get her comfortable with that. So the more exposure you give them to these things in positive, low stake environments, the more tools you have available to you when you actually need them. And I mean, by all means, if you are not planning on using a stroller, maybe find someone that has one, like maybe one of your friends has one, and you can kind of test them just to know this is fun, kind of thing. So the general principle is you don't want to wait until there's a reason. So introduce things early on, make it fun, and your dog's world just becomes bigger and less scary for them. Now, the kind of midday rest, like here's something, it kind of is embarrassing to say, but it took us a very long time to understand. And that is that dogs need rest, like proper rest. Not just like lie down while the TV's on, people moving around, actual deep sleep, calm sleep. So adult dogs need anything from, depending on the breed, like 12 to like 16 hours of sleep a day. And puppies even needs more than that. And when we keep stimulating them all day, like whether it's with walk, play dates, training, cafes, car rides, we think, we are being great dog parents, but they might be so overtired and become anxious. So we need our dogs to settle a little bit more. So you can build rest time into their schedule deliberately and make sure that they have access to a quiet, safe space. So definitely not going to have your dog sleeping in the kitchen if that is the space where everyone is moving in and out constantly. So you want them in a space where they can have rest time. If you've got toddlers or maybe puppies, you maybe want to create a little space away from that so that your dog genuinely can rest. Now, protect their rest time. It's not lazy parenting, it's really maintenance. Now, an afternoon walk is very different from everything else in the day. It is the one genuine walk that we like to do for our dog, and it's the biggest shift in how I approach walks. So I stopped about thinking about distance and really start about thinking about like the sniffing, a sniffari. So a 20-minute walk where Piper gets to sniff everything she wants. She can, walk 5 meters if she wants to sniff for like 25 minutes. That's okay. Um, it is her sniffari. And it is really when they do that, they process so many things. It tires the dogs out in ways that physical exercise just doesn't. So there is a reason, a good sniffari, where you'll let them lead and just sniff whatever they want, leave them so that they actually settle afterwards. Now, in Dubai, especially during the hot summer months, we actually sometimes do sniffari in our building if we can't get out when the temperatures are, at its best, like 4 a.m. maybe. Even then, sometimes it's hot. So then we just do some sniffaris inside the building or even inside our apartment. Now, evening routines. This is really the same time every day, like the same bowl setup, same spot, same routines. And Piper will literally do like her side-eye stare exactly 6:30 every single day, like demanding the food. And after dinner, we try to give her about, an hour's calm before we move on to our nail routine with the Dremel, where she then kind of gets her last little snacks for the evening before she really settles down for bedtime. Now, what I would never skip. So if I have to distill everything into just a couple of things, I would absolutely not skip, no matter how busy, no matter how tired. Here they are. So obviously, consistent meal times. Your dog's gut, energy, and mood all regulates around this. And it's the easiest thing that you can actually do, and that will make a difference. And I mean, we are all human. If there's one day you need to switch a little, it's okay. But if it's like we switch every day, it becomes inconsistent. So we want to try and stay consistent in that. Dental habits from day one. Whatever form that takes on for your dog, brushing, whether it's the drops, the foam, the enzymes, the dental cleans, don't wait until it's a problem. Start now. Future you will be so grateful for you. The medicine prep before you actually need it. Like, find things your dog loves. Practice the syringe when there's no medication in it. Build the decoy habit, because one day you will need to give your dog something they don't want, and you want to have a plan. Introduce equipment early and make it positive, like shoes, ramps, carrier, harnesses, all of those things. The time to teach your dog that a ramp is fine is not after surgery. It's on a random Tuesday when there's no urgency and plenty of treats. And protect their rest, like build in a calm time deliberately, not as an afterthought. And also remember this when it is like holiday seasons as well. Always make sure your dog has a safe space to rest. If your house is full of people more than what it usually is, this is so important. And number 6 is let them sniff. It's free, it's enriching, and it is one of the most genuinely healthy things you can give your dog every single day. Now, look, none of this is about being a perfect dog parent. So I have made almost every single mistake I've described in this episode. The teeth brushing, the equipment I didn't introduce early enough, the routines that took months to actually stick. But the beautiful thing about dogs is that it is never too late to start. You can start a routine today. You can introduce the ramp today. You can begin that dental drops today. Whatever chapter you're in with your dog, the best time to start is now. And if today's episode actually helped you or made you feel less alone in this messy middle of figuring it out, I would love for you to share it with someone who needs to hear it. A friend who maybe just got a puppy, a family member who is thinking about getting a dog, or This is the episode I genuinely wish I had on day one with Piper. If you haven't yet, please come and join us on our Piper's Founders Pack. We are building our elevated food and water bowl, and we would love for you to be part of that. And as always, if you want to come and say hi, come onto our Instagram at Tails and Tones and tell us what is your biggest day one lesson with your dog. I would genuinely love to have those conversations. Thank you so much for listening to Tails and Tones, where every tale tells a story and every tone speaks from the heart. See you in the next one.